Pakistan's newly appointed Foreign Minister, Mohammad Ishaqdar, has said that Pakistan will seriously examine restarting trade relations with India, and he says that Pakistan's government is acting on sentiments expressed by Pakistan's business community. Now, it's noteworthy to remember that Pakistan had unilaterally broken off trade relations with India in August 2019, following India's revocation of Article 370 from Jammu and Kashmir. Now, there are two questions. First of all, why have the Pakistanis made this offer? And secondly, why have they made this offer now? Now, when India is about to embark on a 6-week-long general election season, why have they made this offer right now? And I would like to offer you 6 possible scenarios that could possibly explain what the Pakistanis are after. So please subscribe and let's find out what these 6 scenarios are. This video is brought to you by my Geopolitics course, Geopolitics from First Principles. The link is in the description below. So Pakistan is still importing goods from India, but these imports are being routed through Dubai and Singapore and places and third places like this. And because of this routing through other places, Pakistan is incurring significant costs in terms of freight, in terms of transshipment, in terms of other transportation costs. And as a consequence, they are having to pay much more for these Indian goods compared to what they would have to pay otherwise if they had proper trade relations with India. So that is the rationale behind this offer that the Pakistanis have suddenly made out of the blue. Now, a day after this offer was made, Dr. Jaishankar, India's foreign minister, said in response to a question, not in response to this offer, but in response to a question, that any talks with Pakistan would need to face up to the problem of Pakistan's attitude towards terrorist groups. Every country wants a stable neighborhood, if nothing else. You want at least a quiet neighborhood. How do you deal with a neighbor who does not hide the fact that they use terrorism as an instrument of statecraft? It's not a one-off situation, but a very sustained situation, almost at an industrial level. And Dr. Jaishankar cautioned that dodging the terrorism problem gets us nowhere. And he said that New Delhi will not skirt this problem anymore. So India's stand is very clear. Pakistan is the epicenter, the global epicenter of terrorism. Pakistan is a state sponsor of terrorism. India has been at the receiving end of Pakistani terrorism for decades, and this situation cannot go on. And it will not be business as usual as long as this situation exists, and it does exist. So that is the stand that India has taken. That's been India's consistent stand for a number of years. Now, what are these scenarios, these 6 scenarios that I spoke about? So let's consider the first scenario. The first scenario is that Pakistan is actually sincere this time. And Pakistan is desperate to liberate itself from the clutches of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, which has been loaning Pakistan large amounts of money. But these loans come with an interest rate, and these loans come with strings attached. There are conditions attached to these loans. They will loan you the money, but they will also tell you exactly how to use the money and what not to do with the money. And this essentially translates into interference in the internal affairs of the country that is receiving the loan. And this is something that Pakistan would very much not want. So that could be the first plausible possible scenario. But let's take a deeper dive into this. We know that Pakistan is a very special nation. Every nation has an army. In the case of Pakistan, the army has the nation. The army owns the nation. The ruling elite of Pakistan are the military ISI Zamindar complex. Zamindar means landowner. So the military, the ISI is the intelligence agency of Pakistan, and there's a small number of families that are large landowners in Pakistan. So it is this nexus, this cabal that has been ruling Pakistan since 1947. And if the Pakistani economy suffers, and it is obviously suffering. Pakistan is always on the verge of bankruptcy. But if the Pakistani economy suffers, this suffering, the brunt of the suffering, will be borne by the people of Pakistan. The elite will get their cut, and they will get their money, and they will keep on extracting whatever of value exists in Pakistan. And that's how it has always been. So this first possibility that Pakistan is sincere may not, it is not a very likely possibility. So, what's scenario number two? Scenario number two is that Pakistan perhaps wants to rehabilitate its international image simply by making this offer. Pakistan knows that India is not going to take this offer seriously, but it just wants to make this offer so that it allows Pakistan to kind of ameliorate or rehabilitate its international image. The whole world knows that Pakistan is a terrorist nation, the global epicenter of terrorism, a state sponsor of terrorism. And when Pakistanis travel abroad, they pretend to be Indians because when you travel abroad, people are scared of Pakistanis. So Pakistan has a terrible image, terrible reputation globally. So by making this offer, Pakistan perhaps wants to make it look like it is trying to improve the relationship with India by making this offer. And now the ball is in India's court. And if India refuses, then India is the bad guy. We tried our best. So that is the deal. Maybe that is the scenario. Maybe that is why Pakistan have made this offer. And if India actually agrees to resume trade relations, then it's an icing on the cake. So that is scenario number two. Pakistan wants to rehabilitate its global image. The third scenario is that Pakistan's masters want to see what compromises or conditions India asks for in exchange for a resumption of trade ties. And this would help them better understand to some extent what India's geopolitical grand strategy is. So Pakistan is a mercenary nation. Pakistan has always had foreign masters. It has always served foreign masters. The two usual suspects are the United States and China. These have been the two masters at various points in time, mostly the US, but for a while even China was in the mix, and right now also China is involved with Pakistan to some extent. So maybe the US, maybe China, maybe both want to see how India responds to this offer. And if India does actually make any demands for compromises or concessions, then it could give them a window into the thought process that drives India's long-term geopolitical grand strategy. It'll help them understand a little part of India's geopolitical grand strategy. So that is scenario number three. Pakistan's masters have put Pakistan up to making this offer. What's scenario number four? Scenario number four is that if India is actually naive enough to engage in dialogue with Pakistan based on this offer, then it could significantly hurt Prime Minister Modi's re-election campaign and the BJP, the ruling party's re-election prospects. That may be the objective, because the Indian public is very emotional, and obviously it makes no sense for India to engage Pakistan in dialogue when Pakistan is demonstrably a state sponsor of terrorism and India has borne the brunt of Pakistani terrorism for decades. And India's consistent stand for the past several years has been that India will not engage with Pakistan in dialogue or any other forum. India will maintain diplomatic relations with Pakistan, but the bare minimum, and no engagement with Pakistan beyond having embassies in both nations. That's it. So at this point in time, if India were to open a dialogue with Pakistan, then it could significantly dent the election prospects of Prime Minister Modi and the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. And that could be the objective if India turns out to be naive enough to accept this offer. So that's scenario number four. The fifth scenario involves BRICS. So Pakistan has applied for membership in BRICS. They applied in 2023 last year. And so one of the criteria for becoming a BRICS member is that the nation that's applying for membership needs to have diplomatic relations and good relations with all existing member states of BRICS. Now, it is very clear that Pakistan does have diplomatic relations with India, but Pakistan does not have friendly relations with India at all. Now, China is pushing for Pakistan's entry into BRICS, but the other nations may not be so willing. Russia may be unwilling. India is definitely unwilling to accept Pakistan into BRICS. So Pakistan may want to lobby with other nations. And it may want to at least show that we have made friendly overtures to India and now the ball is in India's court. So they may not be able to demonstrate good relations with India, but they may at least be able to demonstrate that they are making efforts to improve the relationship with India. And maybe that could be the move that may perhaps open the doors of BRICS for Pakistan. So that could be the reason that this is the fifth scenario. And the sixth and last scenario is that perhaps it was Russia's idea for Pakistan to make this offer to India. Now, why is that? Why would Russia make this suggestion to Pakistan? So earlier this year, a delegation from Pakistan, a government delegation from Pakistan, visited Russia to lobby with Russia to accept Pakistan into BRICS. And they also lobbied with Russia. They requested Russia to invite Pakistan to this year's BRICS summit, which will happen probably in October this year in Kazan, in Russia. So Russia would like to use this BRICS plus outreach in the BRICS summit to invite other nations that are not part of BRICS, that are not member states of BRICS. So one of the groupings of nations that Russia would probably like to invite is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization nations, the SCO nations, and Pakistan is a member of the SCO. So the SCO is regarded as a grouping of nations that is dominated by China, and Russia would like to subtly challenge China's the perception that China is the leader of the SCO. And to do that, it would like to invite the SCO member nations to the BRICS summit. But then the problem is that India would not like Pakistan to be part of the BRICS summit, even as an invitee. So perhaps this could be the idea from Russia that why doesn't Pakistan make this offer to India to resume trade ties? And if India responds positively, then that could be the signal for Russia to try and persuade India to allow Russia to invite Pakistan for the BRICS summit, which will happen at the end of this year, in the last quarter of this year. So that could be the thing. Maybe this was Russia's idea, and these are the 6 scenarios that I can think of. So what should India do in response to this offer? Should India engage with Pakistan? So I am very clear about this. India should not engage with Pakistan in any manner. Pakistan has not done enough to deserve any kind of positive or favorable response from India. So India should not engage in any kind of negotiations, talks, or one-on-one diplomacy, and India should instead make a public demand that Pakistan should first demonstrably end its state support for terrorism, and as a first step towards that, Pakistan should hand over the wanted terrorists on India's most wanted list. So there are a large number of Pakistani terrorists who are on India's most wanted list, and they have been involved in various terrorist activities against India on Indian soil or against Indian citizens. So this list is well known as a first step. So the time for assurances and goodwill is over. Pakistan needs to take some actions. So if Pakistan wants India to consider its offer seriously, Pakistan should first of all hand over these wanted terrorists. And secondly, Pakistan should demonstrably take steps towards dismantling the state-supported terrorist infrastructure on Pakistani soil. And then maybe India can consider this offer. So that is what India should do. Which scenario do you think is the most likely out of these 6? Or can you think of any additional scenarios that I may have missed? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon in the next video.